Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Astrological Intentions. I am your host, Alex Reevy, along with the Queen City Queen herself, Sandy Reevy. Say hi.
That's Cincinnati born, bred, and here again.
And it is episode 112 on September 14th. Happy Monday, everybody. Let's get right into it. In the transits, we have Monday, September 14th, Sun trine Pluto.
That's been going on since May.
Tuesday, September 15th, Venus square Uranus.
Love languages.
Thursday, September 17th, Mercury square Jupiter.
Pay attention.
Same day, new moon in Virgo.
Starting over.
And Sun trine Saturn.
Getting ready to turn.
And Monday, September 21st, Mercury square Pluto.
Are you lost?
And finished up in Talisman Times, Sandy has many talismans ready and waiting for you on the website, as well as 3 very special upcoming: to take an important role in the family business, to retire in perfect standing, and to step into the circle and claim victory. On the horizon, we have our community check-in and some astrology forecasts and webinars you're not going to want to miss. And in our house, Sandy and I are still reading from our new favorite book, The Jungian Symbolism in Astrology. So listen in for our favorite excerpt. So stay tuned for this episode of Astrological Intentions.
So you finally know you control where you go.
Hello, Queen City Queen.
You know, I'm here in Cincinnati doing what I, love doing, helping my mom. She's getting better, so I'm doing a good job.
Good job, Mom.
Although I'm not partaking of any Cincinnati foods.
Oh.
I'm cooking my own.
Oh, okay.
Because, I don't want to go I haven't been to a restaurant yet this year.
Well, if you were to have a favorite Cincinnati food, what would it be? What's the one you're missing the most out?
Well, it's like La Rosa's Pizza. Not my favorite. Skyline, Cincinnati Skyline spaghetti. I like that, but I don't miss it. I'm missing the Frisch's Big Boy.
The hamburgers with the special sauce.
Burgers and the onion rings. But they don't do onion rings like they used to 40 years ago.
Mm.
No. It's almost like, are these really onions? But anyway.
Oh.
But anyway. We're eating, grilled vegetables and lots of, salads.
Lots of healthy things.
Yeah. I'm cooking. It's like that.
Good.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go direct to all of you listeners. Thank you so much for sending in your feedback, for the emails. And one of our latest ones was from Rose. She says, the Planets and Politics webinar was so interesting. I know that Sandy and Susan couldn't express an outcome one way or another, but the description of the differences in each candidate's chart was amazing. I keep praying for the earth and the best outcome for us all. I am looking for big change. It's good to hear that Sandy and Susan are so optimistic. It sometimes is difficult right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, good. Thanks, Rose, for that comment and paying attention. It's the most so far of the year that Susan and I have been doing these mini teaching webinars, that it was the most intricate and intense. So this is, even if you're listening out there and you are a professional astrologer, it is information you need to have.
And it was easy and accessible for everybody too. Mm-hmm. If people are so knowledgeable about astrology, you also have the charts right there on the screen, and you're just dissecting them and giving your interpretation of it.
Into the idea of listening to and then pausing it, because you have the recording, right? Mm-hmm. So to pause it and then study the chart, look at the written words over to the left, look at the chart, so that you're taking this hour webinar and stretching it maybe to an hour and a half, and really absorbing in a pause start kind of way. It's quite interesting.
Okay, awesome. And so let's move on in the transits. So today, if you're listening here on time, Monday, September 14th, we have the sun trining Pluto. And this has
Since
been
May.
right since May.
Well, sun goes around the whole zodiac in a 1-year period. So it trines Pluto twice because it's 120 degrees. So it happens twice. And so it did, the last time it did this, it was separating. It had just gone retrograde back in May. But now Pluto is it's not going, it's not stationing to move forward until next month in October, but this is the second meetup of the sun in a trine to Pluto. Anytime that the sun trines any of the superior planets, including Jupiter and Saturn, that planet that the sun is trining is getting ready to either stationing, either to move forward or to move backward. And here it's getting ready to move forward. So it's stronger now because it's applying. So, are you changed? Are you different? And I hope you prefer the new you. Because that Pluto is that transformation. The sun is looking at, it's shining its light on the changes that have been happening since May within you on a subconscious basis. So look at yourself in the mirror, today on Monday, the 14th, and do you like what you see? And I hope you do prefer the new you.
Mm-hmm. And I always like that exercise too, that, if we're doing a workshop or, we're around like family or something, sometimes you'll just give us a moment and give us some like space for us to really look around. And when we do, you always say, if you could pick one person to be in this room, who would you want to be? And it's like every single time, it's like you would pick yourself because you know it so well. And it's that skin that you wear that just fits like a glove.
It's an action that we do a lot at retreat, because if you can look around and you think your story, your hair, your personal assessment of yourself, but when you look at it from a different perspective, it's like, I'm going to pick me every time,
right?
Because I have built myself into this look or attitude or persona. But you have chances all year long to transform you. And this is a time when you get to look at you, and I hope you prefer you. So,
Yes. Yeah. And the next day, Tuesday, September 15th, we have Venus square Uranus.
Yeah, this is at 10:29 in the morning. Love languages. Now, let's break this down. Venus is now in Leo, which is a fire fixed sign, in a square to Uranus in Taurus. Now it's retrograde, but Taurus is also a fixed, it's Earth. But what planet rules Taurus where Uranus is? Venus.
Okay.
So Venus is the ruler of Taurus where Uranus is visiting. And, we know that Uranus was there about 2 years ago and will be there for another 5 years. So the awakener, Uranus, is asking Venus how she wants to be treated. What do you need, Venus? How do you want to be treated? And so by asking this question, it's like, she just may surprise you, right? Mm-hmm. So it's about love languages. Ask that question to your mom. I'll ask her on Tuesday the 15th. I'll ask you, my daughter. You ask your boyfriend. You ask anybody, how would you like to be treated? What new do I need to address?
Do you remember the love languages? Well, at least from that book.
From the book.
Mm-hmm.
Not like you do, I'm sure.
Well,
remind us.
I'm going off of memory here, but I recently reread that book, and the love languages are physical touch, acts of service, words of affirmation, gift giving, and quality time.
That's pretty good right off the top of your head.
Yes. Well, because every single time, and I guess I first learned about that book like decades ago, really, when it first came out and it was like very, very popular. And I remember taking the test and I was completely different from
Then,
what I am now.
oh, interesting. Well,
Mm-hmm.
this is a good place. I wonder if they have that test just online or do you have to buy the book? But
No,
that
it's
would be,
online. It's online.
yeah, that you might want to put the link on this because I think so in other words, you're saying that our love language changes. That makes sense because what we talked about for Monday is that, are you changed? Are you different? You know, I hope you prefer the new you. And then boom, the next day you have to check in with your love language. Ask your partners, you know, the people that you're in one-on-one relationships with, have they changed, and how you can relate to them in the new fashion, the new way. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Ding, ding, ding.
And I mean, I first read that book when I was young. I was in high school. So I think one of my favorite love languages was gift giving.
And I think it still might be, but probably now is about
No, actually not
words.
at all. Yeah. My two are either like words of affirmation, acts of service,
Yeah, I would think words of affirmation if you got to pick one.
and quality time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, well, moving on.
Yeah. Okay.
So Thursday, September 17th, we have 3 transits. The first is Mercury squared Jupiter.
Yeah, this happens at 5:34 in the morning. Pay attention. It's a square, and Jupiter has stationed direct, 5 days ago. So it really has this there's a feeling that plans go well when you are aware, but aware of what? Aware of judgment, aware of, judgment from other people, judgment from yourself, that internal story that you might tell yourself. But the idea is, what makes sense? Be realistic and sensible here. And maybe it's something that you have been noodling around for 4 months, or maybe since the end of April, which is 4 months. So for me, I'm thinking, what does this mean for me? And it's like, maybe I'll get to finally be able to make that retreat date for spring in Bali,
Hopefully,
right?
yeah.
Because it's about being reasonable and efficient when you've got, and these 2 planets are usually in opposition. Mercury rules Gemini and Jupiter rules Sagittarius, and they're in opposition. And Mercury is the small little details, the realistic sense, and Jupiter is the let's go far, let's get big.
The pie in the sky idea.
Let's see the big stuff, right? So it's about paying attention to awareness of judgment calls. And again, talking about Monday and Tuesday, what is different about you? What is your new love language? And are you paying attention to old judgment?
Are you on the old operating system or the new one?
Mm-hmm.
And so that same day, we also have the new moon in Virgo, and you named this one starting over.
So
and I would always love, like, Virgo is a great thing to start over with because it's about like getting back into routine, and I like that.
This is at 6 a.m. spot on the dot. Of course, these are all Central Time, 6 a.m. And this new moon, remember, the new moon is when the moon has just crossed the sun and in a conjunction, and it's trine to the Saturn. So there's this, and Saturn is getting ready to turn direct in 10 days at this 25-degree of Capricorn, which is Earth, where the new moon in Virgo is in Earth. So there's that 120 trine. So, what's the feel here? Remember, it's new moon. What do you feel? What is that? Keeping calm while organizing your thoughts and organizing these feelings. So there's thoughts that are used of the mental, your mental brain, your mental muscle, or the feeling muscle, right? So these are 2 different things. So, but in Virgo, it has to be what rules Virgo? Mercury, the thinking muscle. What does the moon rule? The feeling muscle. So it's making a kind of a starting over on a long-term plan. And here we go. That's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. It's this whole week of, I've titled it, soul, SOUL, where it's like changing from the inside out. It's kind of like when you're peeling or where you're, eating one of like the old fashioned way to eat an orange, you cut it in half and then you would convex it or concave it. Which one? But you would open it up easier to eat. And I just thought about that the other day because I found one of those things in my mom's drawers that you would stick in the orange when we were little kids and then
to drink it,
suck out like a straw, the orange. But it's that kind of thing. It's like finding a new soul
and tapping in.
Oh,
like an orange juice.
Tapping into the real juicy juice part. Yeah.
I like that. And so same day, Sun trine Saturn.
This is at 4:37 p.m., getting ready to turn. Now, the sun we just talked about is in Virgo, and I just mentioned the trine to Saturn. So there's a stepping over something. There's getting ready to turn. It's like you're making the motion, you're turning around, you're stepping over. Maybe it's that sleeping policeman that I was calling a sleeping soldier. It's stepping over maybe a log or something, or a creek or something, and stepping over something and through the woods to get to grandmother's house. That's so interesting that I wrote this. And here you just left grandmother's house,
right?
My mom's house, but it's making way. It's a feeling of making a move. And again, the sun is in an applying trine, which what I said at the beginning of the Monday when it was sun is trining Pluto. So if sun is trining Saturn, we know it's applying because Saturn and Pluto are in the sky together, which they've been all year, which is the kerfuffle. So we're finding a little bit of movement away. And I don't know if it's kind of the elections that are coming up that are feeling that we're starting to have a say in the matter. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm excited
with your newfound soul.
Right.
Yeah.
And so next Monday, so a week from today, we also wanted to include this transit on September 21st. This is Mercury square Pluto. Because it's happening so early, tell us a little bit about this one.
This happens at 12:21 a.m. So it will have already happened by the time this gets published. So Mercury squares Pluto. Okay. Now, Pluto is still about 2 weeks away from turning direct, so we can understand that Pluto is slowing down. So are you lost? Well, you might feel like you are, and you may be. That when you are when you are needing to recalibrate your thinking, right? Mercury is thinking. Again, it's that mental muscle that we talked about. So there's this whole feeling of, as let's start back from Monday, right? As are you changed? Are you different? And then you go, do I need to speak to the people that I love in my life differently? Do I need to let them know
how I want to be spoken to?
How I need to be listened to and spoken to. And then it's paying attention. And then it's starting over. And then it's getting ready to turn. And then you may feel discombobulated, right? Are you lost? So there's a recalibration that needs to help here in your thinking. So my point here is, don't feel like you need to turn back and go to that same path that you were on last week or 2 months ago or 3 months ago. You are it's like when you roll down a hill. I'm going into a lot of childhood memories now that I'm back, in my home for a long period of time,
right?
Hanging out with my mom. But, rolling down this little hill that we have in the back of the house, you would get up and you think that would be so much fun because you're you're wobbly, right? You don't know which direction to go, but yet you know that you can always recalibrate it. You know, you're not going to stay like that for the rest of the afternoon or the day or the year. So, you know, if you feel like you're lost, you know, you have 2 feet, or you have a solid place that you can watch the world spin, but you are here, right? Kind of like on those maps. You get to the mall, you get to, you know, Disneyland, and it's like, where in the hell am I? Right? It's like,
luckily it has that red dot.
You are here and you are centered. You're recalibrated. It's that kind of feeling.
Perfect.
Got it.
Yes, got it. I like that. So moving on to Talisman Times, you have finished up many. So if you all remember that last week we were going to say this is going to be determined, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 talismans ready for you all. Starting,
well, some have sold.
2 have sold already. Yeah. We'll quick breeze over those. The 2 that have sold were Mondays, both of Mondays talismans, to pursue income and wealth and to balance earthly substance. So to those new talisman owners, congratulations, and we are so excited to hear more about your journey. So moving on.
Activation calls this week.
Yes. And so Tuesday, September 8th, this is going to be our kind of finished talismans for this episode, to gather love and appreciation.
I draw friends to me that cherish, admire, and welcome the same benefits I possess and believe in. This was very interesting. The moon was the moon in Gemini, and it was first sextiling the ascendant ruler Venus, and then trining the moon ruler and the sun ruler Mercury. Now, this is interesting because this was at 10:04 p.m. Cincinnati time. And as soon as I did this, what did I do? Tell that little story.
Oh, well, I was outside. Well, everyone had gone in from dinner, and my 2 cousins that are around my age, we just stayed out because we had started a conversation that we were all kind of engaged in and we didn't want to stop. And that was pretty much the first time that it was just us 3, and we had this availability, this time, this engagement, and this really wonderful honesty where we were just there and genuine and talking. And we hear a knock on the outdoor patio, you coming outside knocking and saying, can I quick share with you guys what just happened astrologically? I just finished up this talisman, and it's to gather love and appreciation. And tell us the affirmation again.
And so I read this out loud to my 2 nephews. One is just turned 27. The other one, I think, is like 25. And they're like not motorcycle, like, what are they?
Dirt bikes
and quad racers. And, you know, they're the rough and ready kind of guys. Yeah. Having a conversation with our philosophical Alex,
right?
Who's their older cousin. So we're all like, are they still out there talking? Like, wow, like this is pretty cool. All the adults are in, the mom and dad and me and my mom are inside. And so I go out and I read, I draw friends to me that cherish, admire, and welcome the same benefits I possess and I believe in. And both boys were like, but the one boy was, my nephew was like, who I wouldn't, and I don't know if one believes in astrology, the other one maybe not, was like, wow, really? That's crazy.
Yeah, it was like a moment of like goosebumps for everybody. Like, really? Wow.
That's crazy. I can't believe that. And it was just a very,
because it was equally unconceivable that we were also, because they have to wake up at crazy hours to get to work, and it's these moments never ever happen in my 32 years. I have never had this type of conversation and like just time spent with just them, and so it was just really wonderful that you came out to share that with us.
Yeah. And I mean, it was dark, pitch dark, but there was one little old-fashioned like oil lamp.
It was perfect.
It was like, Sitting around the fire pit. Anyway, let's keep going.
And so that same night, right after we concluded, you had another talisman to do, to learn and exchange knowledge.
I mentor others at the same time they advise me. We both up our game of skill. Now, when this was over, I had run outside to knock on the outside door to come outside, and you guys were just saying goodbye to each other, so I didn't bother you. But each of you mentored the other one at the same time you were getting advice, and all of you upped your games of information.
Right.
Because you learned and exchanged knowledge. It was just like, wow, Alex, this couldn't have piggybacked more on the energy of the sky that happened with the three of you.
And I wasn't even planning that. And so your next talisman time that you finished up was Wednesday, September 9th, to sense elation.
Well, this is when Jupiter was the ruler of the chart, and the sun was making an exact trine to Jupiter, just as Jupiter is ready to station to move forward after its 4-month retrograde where it's on vacation. Jupiter's starting to make hay, so to speak. In my quiet moments, I feel the anticipation of renewal. Of this, I am certain. To sense elation, to know that there's movement on the forefront.
Yes. And that's a very hopeful one. I like that. And Sunday, September 13th, to be drawn to the spiritual natures.
I study, learn, and experience these unknown subjects that are now so interesting to me. I am inquisitive.
And I think that's so important, especially when you're starting a new study or you're, investigating a new interest. It is the curiosity and those asking questions and being there and being ready for the answer, even if there is an answer, is so important, because that's what keeps driving that learning. So coming up, you have 3 talismans. The first is September 16th, to take an important role in the family business. Now, this one's an interesting one. I like this.
My connection with my family or my partner's family and their interests allows me to offer my ideas and suggestions in a way that adds value and is beneficial for all. Yeah. This is sun, moon, and ascendant all in Virgo. And excuse me, and Mercury is enclosed by the 2 benefics. This is kind of a rare piece.
It's very cool.
So because it's rare, and because the 4th house is ruled because Jupiter's in here as one of the benefics. Jupiter is the ruler of the 4th house. So there's something about value, possibly money here, some financial income. Okay.
Yeah. And if anyone else has been in a family business before, we know it's way different being in a family business than it is being in any other business or company.
You have a say, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's very different. And if you know, and if you don't, you definitely don't. So September 16th, to retire in perfect standing.
This is an interesting one too.
I've never heard you do one with retirement involved.
Well, because the moon is in balsamic state, and balsamic moon is, you're not really starting something new because the moon is not quite crossed to the sun yet. So it's very low in light. And if you're growing something, I would not use this. But if you're wrapping something up, turning something off, lowering the volume, packing up, to turn dark, to conclude something, this is a perfect time. And the sun and the moon are in the 10th house of career, and Jupiter is rising. It's in the 2nd house. So to retire in perfect standing, I receive this gift as a token of my long-held reputation. I feel honored, delighted, and optimistic about walking away.
Honored, delighted, and optimistic.
About walking away.
That's a really wonderful feeling.
Right.
It's like, oh, I'm not hesitating. Oh, I'm not, worried about what my future is going to be. That's a really wonderful way of starting a new chapter and ending the one that you have been in
I
for
mean,
probably a long time.
If you were a football player and, you've just had your pounces and your aches and pains, it's just like, I'm going out, on the top. So it's kind of that I'm going to retire on top.
Yes.
So in good standing. Right. And I'm choosing it.
Yes.
I'm not getting pushed out. I'm choosing it.
And Friday, September 18th, to step into the circle and claim victory. Victory!
What? Doesn't this sound like a medieval kind of
totally
stepping into,
like you versus lion, or you versus the other gladiator?
It's Hercules. It's Hercules. This is the second decan of Leo, which is about, it's kind of a warlike competition. This is, I step into the circle and claim victory. I realize this reward is worth the challenge. Therefore, I take on the situation. I use all I got, and I know I am in it to win it. Because has this image of Hercules, that he was able to claim victory over all of his, remember those 12 labors that he was sent, this is mythology, and he was sent to do the unimaginable and was literally able to do, climb here and get the sacred wool and clean out the stables that hadn't been cleaned out in 30 years. And he was able to accomplish them all.
Interesting story. I don't think I've ever known that part of it. So
maybe next week we'll talk about I'll get all of the 12 labors.
That'd be cool.
About the mythology of Hercules. And we all know that Hercules, he was the one that was asked to hold the earth, the sky above the earth. That's why he's incredibly strong. He's the winner. He's the victor.
Wasn't he part human, or is that me not remembering correctly?
No.
I guess I kind of thought that from the Child's movie, but maybe not. So anyway, moving on to the horizon, we are going to have to cut this little part of our episode short. So of course, we have the CWS webinar, the Mars retrograde link, if you wanted to download what that one was all about, but also head over to our website to see the planets and politics one that we talked about when Rose mentioned how good that was. We also have our community check-in that's happening September 23rd, our astrology forecast. This is our monthly one with Sandy and Susan. You're not going to want to miss. That's October 3rd, as well as our Blue Moon webinar happening October 14th. So all of those links are in the description. Click away, and we'd love to see you there.
Come one, come to them all.
Yes. And in our house, we wanted to talk about I'm adding on a couple of things. First off, did you do your no soul exercise?
Passing disturbance.
No soul. I actually did the other day because I was over at a friend of ours had an 80s theme COVID party where we were outside, and you're all dressed up because you can't really dress up your face because you have a mask and everything. But what I was looking at somebody, talking to somebody, and I was walking towards, and I just ran into someone, and I guess I had met this person before, but I just said, "Oh my gosh, passing disturbance, so sorry, no soul," and probably weirded him out, but it was just funny because I got to play with my play with my exercise on what I was doing. Regardless, it probably went over his head, but it was fun for me to. And I said, I was looking this way, you were probably looking another way, and we were just walking, thinking that we were totally free from any disturbances ahead. So interesting.
Like, well, what I and my mom even did this. We practiced, I like you, you like me. I like you, you like me.
And that is a crazy, crazy story.
I will put money down on this. And in both situations, and this happened at the doctor's office, where we didn't feel welcomed or treated fairly, or our questions weren't answered. It was just a really, really like disturbing visit we had with the doctor and the nurse there. And they had walked out without answering any of our questions. And I'd asked the doctor a question and he says, "I don't know. Do you?" I'm like,
That
"Sorry,
is the
doctor.
weirdest answer.
That's why I'm asking you, because you had just said that's why you've gone to school for 10 years, that you knew what I was just explaining to you. I asked you about some vegetables and you're like, I don't know. Do you?" I'm like, "That's why I asked you, sir." And then he called, and just without telling the whole story, because that wasn't really our plan, but maybe that is our storyline for today. And I said, and I'm behind my mask and mom doesn't know I'm doing this. Cause I don't even know if she knows about she does now, but I like you, you like me. And the doctor left without answering our questions, cause his little buzzer went off in his phone to tell him that his 15 minutes were up, because you can't be with patients any longer than 15 minutes. That's this whole new thing, right? That's going on. And I'm like, wow, you like me, I like you. I like you, you like me. You like me, I like you. And the nurse came back in, who was very rude to us earlier, really rude, and walked in and was like, "Oh, you know what? Why don't we do this? Do you have any questions? Let me answer those questions for you. I've even done some little research for you over here, and let me go on and change this in your chart for you."
So crazy.
And mom's looking at me like, "What just happened?" And I said, "Hold on, mom, I'll tell you in a little bit." We're walking out, and I told her, she goes, "Sandy, I can't believe how that worked." So I said, "Mom, let's do the doctor. I mean, we're not going to see the doctor again." And I said, "Let's do the doctor," as we're walking out of the office, through the arrows. And trust me, I haven't been out of my house, so I don't know about these little taped arrows crap and stuff that's going on. And we're going, behind our mask, "I like you, you like me. I like you, you like me." And we leave. She has to go down and get some blood work, blah, blah, blah. We get home and there's a message on her message machine. It's the doctor.
No way.
And he says, doesn't identify him, but we can see. And he goes, "Hi, Dell," which is my mom's first name. My mom's like, in 30 years, he's never called me.
Wow.
In 30 years, he has never called me by a name. And he left a message because he forgot to tell us something that we inquired about. And he left without telling us.
Wow.
And my mom was like, my mom hitting the table and go, "I have never in my life heard he doesn't even call with blood test results. He doesn't even call with MRI results. He doesn't call with anything. And he's calling to remind us that he forgot to tell us something." And then I said, "Mom, I like you, you like me." And she goes, "Sandy, I have never, and I'm going to use it all the time." The next morning, he calls again.
Wow.
On, that was Saturday morning. He calls again.
Wow.
So it was like, it's my mom's new thing. So when you're ever and I say cantankerous, it's just you're in a uncomfortable situation with somebody that you're needing a service from, or even if it's just the checkout girl, right, at the grocery store. You could do the passing disturbance, no soul, I like you, you like me. We can combine those, Alex. What do you think's going to happen?
I know.
Right? Marriage proposal, it's like, I can't give you enough. Right. But seriously, folks, try either one of those or both and see what stories you have. We will read them on Going Direct on how you engaged in these practices, because more than ever, remember, hate spreads so fast like a virus, but love has to be focused on and delivered and received, again, without knowing, right? But it has to be purposeful delivery. And the people won't even know what they're receiving, but that they'll act in a more calming, non-disturbing reaction.
So I also have a little addition to, it's like a little story. So again, I'm at this 80s theme party, and I was drinking a Radler. So it's like kind of like a very juicy, very minimal alcoholic drink. And but it's very sweet. And we're outside. And what I don't realize, and this is the first time I'm telling you this, what I don't realize is that there's a bee in my drink. However, I take a really big sip. And then I notice, I'm like, I think there's a leaf in my drink. So I go to like catch the leaf with my tongue to like,
Move
pull
it
it
up.
out and just,
my.
swallow the rest. I'm not like grossed out by a leaf. No. It's a bee. It clasps onto the tip of my tongue and it stings me.
You're kidding.
And I stick out my tongue and I get my fingers and I just try and rip it off of me and I throw it down. I I also throw it down so violently because it was so instinctual and I was in so much pain. And I throw it down and I hit I hit a friend of mine in the leg with the wasp. And but it by this time I guess I must have squished it to death.
Killed it.
And
so a wasp, which is way bigger than a bee. I'm thinking
it was a baby wasp.
Yeah.
So and it was small. So it was just like smaller than my thumb and my pointer finger, but I got stung in the tongue by a bee, and so this is now my last disturbance, no soul moment with me and this wasp, because for the next little bit of the party, I was slurring my words and I couldn't speak all that superly. And it was fun too, just because, it was a stinger. So it's just that like constant little twinge of pain that's going on.
Swelling.
But a little bit of swelling, yes. But today I feel totally fine. I don't have any more pain, but wow, was that some disturbance for my 80s theme party?
Right. No, passing disturbance.
No soul. Sorry, little wasp. So anyway, that was my little excerpt. So let's quick wrap up because we promised everyone we would. One of our newest favorite excerpts from the Jungian Symbolism and Astrology book, because you told me this the other day during lunch. I thought it was so interesting. The monks, why they have those interesting hairdos where they, kind of like the, what type of monk was that? A Franciscan monk that have,
I think all monks.
they had just like the crown of their head completely shaved, not, very intentionally. So tell us a little bit about that.
So I didn't realize that, but right, all monks have hair around the circumference. I don't need to, it's kind of bozo-like, I don't mean to say they're but, and then bald at the very top. Well, this book describes that is purposeful and intentional, as they're crowning, like a baby crowning at birth, where you just see the tops of their heads. That is, I might have wisps of hair, but the monks shave that on purpose, that they're coming to the Lord. They're coming to God. They're being born into the world of God. And so they walk in, and it's to the head because they're crowning to the heavens.
Wow. And I loved that because I never understood it. I thought it was like a vow of
like, I don't know what that was.
Yes, I don't know what that was supposed to be.
I never knew what that equated to until, this book really.
And now that I know, I just think I find that to be so meaningful and so, it's so spiritually dedicated, because your hair is a lot of who you are and it's your identity, but they're speaking to their spiritual identity with God. I think that's cool.
It's brilliant. I should do a little bit of background work on that, is, how long, and I know this is hundreds of years, I mean, we know from the movie Outlander that 200 years ago, the monks were, shaved the top of their head for the crowning, being born to God.
Yeah.
So if anybody knows any more information, I'd like to know.
It's really cool stuff. So thank you all for listening in this week. We love you. We adore you. We are sending you so much love and healing your way. So stay tuned for next week. We would love to hear from you. Make sure to email me, alex@intentionbeats.com. Head over to Apple iTunes to review our podcast as well as share it with your friends. So until next time, we will see you. Have a great day.
Bye, everybody.
And the search ends here.